Hi, welcome back. Today I want to talk about our vibration and that vibration and how it resonates and how it affects us. And not just on a daily basis, but the matter in which it brings things towards us or repels things, right? So, you hear a lot of people just say, oh, I woke up today and, I bumped my head or whatever, and then the rest of the day just went downhill from there. Well, it's because you set that tone in the morning, right, when that happened. Other times, somebody might get a flat tire driving to work or trying to get somewhere, and they're like, oh, great. So now the rest of my day, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, everything just sucks. Well, yeah, because the universe doesn't understand the difference between good and bad. All it knows is, hey, you said you're going to have a shitty day, so here's more of that shitty day for you. Unfortunately, that's how it works. Doesn't matter if we like it or not. You can try to understand it. Yeah, it just doesn't matter. That's just how it works. But on the other hand, if you have a very positive outlook on things and you take a situation that happened to you and you say, you know what, it was one instance, I'm good, you basically forgive, forget, move on. Well, now the universe isn't looking at just that one instance, it's looking at your thoughts beyond that. So you go about your day, you don't let things bother you, you don't have that lingering frustration in the back of your mind, and it's not going to continue to give you what you asked for or what you experienced earlier in the day. But a lot of things can affect our vibration. We live in a world that's constantly in turmoil, right? So many people are at each other. It's probably the most uncourteous time I could remember throughout my life is this, what we've been going through the last few years. So um, you have to get away from all that, right? You have to be able to push all of that aside and just focus on what you want and what your goals and your intentions are. But how do you raise that vibration, right? How do you keep yourself away from falling into those traps? So one of the things is try to stay away from people that constantly bring the situation or the tempo down. You know who they are. They're the ones that are just always complaining about something. Nothing's ever. They victimize themselves. They're always everybody else is to blame for what's happening to them. They don't take responsibility. That lowers your vibration. You could be at I don't know how the vibration numbers work, but you could be at like a 10, and somebody could be at a 4, and they're just constantly, you work with them, they sit next to you all day, and all they're doing is just bitching and bitching and bitching, and that's all you hear. Well, that's going to kind of start to bring you down the more you allow yourself to be, involved in that situation, and how you excuse yourself from that, man, that's really, it's up to you. Sometimes you just have to tell them, hey, look, just not interested. Um, Sorry about everything you're going through, but you know, I got my own problems, right? Well, however you decide to, and I know that sounds a little harsh, but sometimes people just need to hear the truth. Um, but anyway, going on a little bit, beyond that, there's different things you can do to raise your vibration because I see all this information out there about, oh, money is at this vibration and happiness is this vibration and friendship and love, and there's all these other vibrations, and it's like, well, I don't know what they are. I don't know what hertz it is or whatever it is, all the stuff that's out there. But what I do know is that there are things that make you feel good, and that's what this is all about, right? It's your body and somebody else's experience and how they put themselves in the right mindset to form their future is different than how you would look at it, how you would think about it. Just like what's a big deal to one person may not be a big deal to another. Well, it's the same thing with when you're trying to lift your vibration. For me, it's through music. So I like music. With other people, it may be they like to dance. Maybe they like to walk barefoot and dance on a grass field. I don't know. Whatever that is, you'll know what that feeling is. You'll know that feeling that you get when you do that, when it feels like all of the worries and the pain just kind of go away for a second, and you just feel lighter. You feel happier, even for that moment of time. Um, that's now when you're lifting your vibration, right? That's your vibration, and it's starting to lift. And for me, like I said, I like to listen to music. Black Veil Brides, some of their songs are really good for me. In the end, Wake Up, Crimson Skies, Shine Down is another good one that I like to use, specifically like some of their songs like Sound of Madness, The Dead Don't Die, Atlas Falls. Those are just different types of songs for me that when I listen to them, it just makes me feel different. I feel better. I feel like I'm ready to go do that workout now, or I'm ready to go take on that project or whatever it is that I've been putting off. It just kind of gets you in a different frame of mind. Sometimes just driving down the road, right? You like to listen to your songs. Like I said, it feels like some of those little daily worries, and then they just go away, and that's lifting. That's how you're going to lift your vibration that way. Like I said, dancing, you know, in a ballroom, dancing for fun somewhere in your room, going out to an open field at a park, dancing barefoot, sitting out under a tree, listening to music or meditating, whatever it is that makes you feel good. And the more you do that, and you release all of those worries and frustrations at that time, is how you're going to start to lift your vibration. And the more you do it, the more it will eventually just continue to just rise and stay there, as long as you keep the right mindset. um, you know there's a lot of other things too that kind of factor into that. So you want to make sure you keep your spaces clear of any energies, and there are certain things that can help with that. So you can like smoke cleanse your home, your car every so often, yourself. Like, if you're out in public a lot and you're coming back in, you're around a whole lot of different energies, a lot of different people, and you may not be that sensitive to it, but sometimes just experiencing it might be enough, especially if you're an empath and don't realize that you are. You may kind of feel like, I'm always so drained out from around a lot of people. That's because you're picking up all these different energies, and you have to be able to let that energy go. And there's other things like stones and crystals help with that. So like, tiger's eye, black obsidian, clear quartz, smoky quartz, tourmaline, selenite, right? All of these different crystals and stones out there will help keep negative energies away from you, only allow in positive energies. But it's not just as simple as wearing one of those. For one, you have to make sure they're legit and they're not knockoffs, because there's a lot of knockoffs out there. But if you're ever going to get a crystal, doesn't matter what it is, where you got it from, you always want to cleanse it yourself. A lot of shops will say all of our stuff is cleansed before it leaves, and that's fine. It may be, but it's being handled by however many different people are going to grab it when they're delivering it to you. And you want to get it, and before you do anything with it and you wear it or you display it in your home, you want to cleanse it. And there's different ways to cleanse. Not to get too deep into it, but you can smoke cleanse. Some people like to put it out under the full moon, the first night or two of the full moon. Just let it sit overnight. You can put it in a stream of running water, natural flowing water. Some people like to bury them in the dirt. I don't choose that method. But once that's done, and you let them sit out there, then you have to charge them with the intention of what you want them to do for you. So they all have their properties. So for instance, tiger's eye is just one of my favorites. I like it. Tiger's eye keeps negative energies away, and it keeps the positive energy flowing. So you just want to set your intention with it by just asking it what you would like for it to do for you. And then you can wear it. But every so often, you need to go through the process of cleansing. You don't just do it one time and then it's good. Once a month, every couple of weeks, whatever you feel like you need to do. And intuitively, you'll know when it's time to do it. Something will tell you, I think I need to do this. Just listen to that. It's pretty just as simple as that. It's pretty easy. None of this is rocket science, but we always tend to overcomplicate everything just because there's so much information out there, and then we start second guessing. But it's really not that hard. I would say pick one path and just, go with it. Other things you can do to kind of help, and this has helped me quite a bit, is you have to forgive, forget, and then release, right? So things happen to us, one thing that I've come to understand is that our thoughts are the reincarnation of our future. So if we continue to keep going back to the past and looking at things that happened to us in the past 2, 3, 4 years ago, 6 months ago, and we keep reliving that, that's also going to lower, it's going to take your vibration down a little bit. It's going to lower that resonant frequency that you should be vibrating at. And it's just going to take things a little bit longer to get to you until you can get out of that headspace. So there's different ways you can release things, let them go. Some people like to write it down on a piece of paper, fold the paper away from you 3 times and burn it. Um, some people just like to meditate on them and just internally release. Some just journal, sometimes just journaling and saying something as simple as, I'm no longer going to let this situation control and affect my thoughts or, my ambitions going forward. Whatever that is, however you decide to word it, there's no special way to say or do anything. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that got me hung up, because there's so many people that try to sell information and they try to put their spin on it. But really, at the end of the day, all it really is what makes sense to you. The intent in which you're writing it, or the intent in which you're trying to release it, is really what matters, because it's what's going to make you feel good. It's going to be what makes you feel better about moving forward. So yeah, it's good to kind of hear other people's ideas or thoughts, but you can take 4 or 5 different opinions and pick the best of what you like out of those, and that could be how you decide to do it. Or maybe something somebody did was right for you, and you realize, what, that works for me. That's great. But there's probably going to be something you may want to change, maybe not, but just to kind of make it yours. There's there's other things you can do. There's singing bowls, bells. There's like the little Tibetan bells. There's the little singing bowls you can get at different stores, online. Some places locally might have them, but they also sing at different frequencies. And when I first started looking at the bowls, I was, trying to find something that was just going to do like this. It's going to target like this chakra, or it's going to work with the crown chakra, the third eye, or whatever it is. But then when I would hear it, it wasn't a good feeling. It wasn't a good sound. And it actually kind of hurt my ears. So I would say, if you're going to get into singing bowls or anything like that, sure, some are made to resonate at a certain frequency, a certain hertz level. Some are supposed to trigger certain chakras. But if it doesn't feel good for you, if it's not comfortable and it's not a relaxing, when you hear it, it's not like that relaxing sound where it feels like your body just kind of relaxes, then you may want to maybe try a few different ones and see which ones actually do that. Because again, we're all a little bit different. And these are all like guidelines in which everybody kind of categorizes everything for us to kind of help us understand. But at the end of the day, again, it goes back to what makes you feel good and how your body responds and how your mind feels, right? How that the sound of that song, or the sound of that bowl, or that piece of, crystal or stone that you're looking at getting. It's just kind of like how it makes you feel when you see it, when you hear it, when you hold it. There is no, I wish there was a rule book that was very specific, but there really isn't. For me, like I said, I like Tiger's Eye, and Moldavite is another good stone. Moldavite is not from Earth. It was from a meteorite that crashed a very, very, very long time ago, in which was then, at the time, considered the Czech Republic. But it was a meteorite that crashed that formed tektite, which is a form of glass through pressure and heat. And there's not a whole lot of it around. It's actually getting very rare. I was able to buy mine a couple years ago before the prices started getting really, really high. But Moldavite is something that will help remove blockages. It will help with your intentions and what's best for you. But it's not forgiving. Let's put it that way. You have to be ready to work with it. And the first time I picked up a piece of Moldavite, I didn't really know what it was. I was at a shop just talking to the lady there, and she's like, "Come here." She brought me over to the counter, and she said, "Hey, which one of these jumps out at you?" And at the time, I didn't realize what they were, but they were pieces of Moldavite. And I just picked one up, and I was holding it, and she was talking to me. And while she didn't tell me anything about it. She just asked me to grab it. And while I was holding it, I started to feel like my heart started beating really fast. My hands started to shake, and I actually started to sweat, and I didn't know what was wrong. And after about 2 or 3 minutes, she says, "How do you feel?" And I didn't really quite get what she was asking. Like, I don't understand. She says, when you picked it up, did you notice anything? And I said, well, like, like I was sweating. And I said, well, yeah, like I started sweating, my heart started beating. I said, I don't know if I was getting sick. I was getting like the chills. And she said, that's called the Moldavite flush. So what that means is whenever you pick up a piece of Moldavite, you know, the, the thought is when you feel that way, it means you're ready to work with it. And it's something you might want to consider. So I did go ahead and I made the purchase that day after I did a little bit of research about it because we were going to be in the area for a couple of days. So I had some time to kind of read about it and stuff. Went back there, purchased it, um, and made the mistake of wearing it every day, which you don't want to do because it does remove blockages. It does bring up different types of feelings. You don't understand like that's really what's happening, but Moldavite is a very strong piece of jewelry. Not to get too deep into that, but it is a very strong piece of crystal that you can wear as a piece of jewelry every day. I do wear mine every day now. I have gotten over that little hump there, and something to consider. But there's a lot of knockoffs when it comes to Moldavite. So finding a trusted source is going to be a little bit difficult, especially if it's online. If you can find somewhere local, that's probably the best way to go. But there are places online that do sell them. They do authenticate them. Like I said, mine was bought in person. I was able to get the certificate and everything from it. But other than that, there's a whole lot of other ways that we can try to lift our vibration. Just always remember, right, that the thoughts are the reincarnation of your future. So whatever it is you're thinking at the time, however it is you're feeling, it's going to start to formulate a future because there is no future, right? I mean, the only thing we have is present day, and the past is the past. It's already gone. You know, what we do is we live for today, and the way we live today is kind of what paves the path for our future, and that includes our thoughts, not just our actions. So, you know, it's hard, but try to find that outlet that's going to help raise your vibration. Like I said, for me, it's music. It's always been music. I never even realized that that's what I was doing early on in my life. It wasn't until I got older that I realized music makes me feel a certain way. You know, I just named those. Those are just, you know, Shine Down and Black Veil Brides. I just like them. There's just those songs that just make me feel a certain way, and I usually play them every day, whether I'm driving around or I'm getting ready to go work out or even if I'm just riding my bike. Um, they just they just they help me. They help me keep my vibration up, and you know, let me know what works for you. And until then, take it easy.